This is a conversation with Erin, with me, Erin, our safe space, have a bit of a chat about anything, everything, and all in between. No conversation is off limits. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Oh, I'm sweating. I feel like I stink. I do have a iced coffee and I will be sipping on it this whole time because I cannot express to you how hot the UK is right now. We've had a summer full of quite cold, rainy days. I think it's been like one of the wettest summers. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it is like 30 degrees. I'm sweating and I'm like stuck in my bedroom filming this. So bear with me, okay? Hence why as well I don't really have much makeup on. I look a little bit of a mess because it's just too hot to do anything. Now, I can moan about this because I wasn't one of the ones that moaned that we didn't have a summer. So if you are one of the people that moaned about not having a summer and you live in the UK, I'm not a fan of you right now because look what you have done. Look what you've done. It's too hot. The last couple of weeks have been so cool and autumnal. Yeah, I was in my autumnal era and that bubble has been burst. But I'm hoping we're going to go back in it soon, hence the episode. But before we get into the topic today, I've only really got one thing to share with you from this last week. I am starting the 75 hard challenge, but not the traditional one. So I've created my own 75 hard challenge that will help me become hopefully one of the most best productive versions of myself. It incorporates both physical, mental health. It incorporates spiritual growth, hopefully growth with the podcast. It's basically all about growing and facilitating a way to become the best version of yourself. That's kind of the premise behind it. I've called it the 75 Glow Hard Challenge. I'm going to be documenting it all on the podcast Instagram, Conversation with Erin, and my personal TikTok, ErinBaker_. I'll include a link down below. Oh my god, I'm really out of breath. So I'm going to share with you the rules. So if you do feel like it's something that you want to do or follow along or just observe me completing, I need to read at least 10 pages of a book a day. I've already done that this morning. My first day of doing it is actually today and I found it quite challenging. But yes, I need to read at least 10 pages, can be more, and it can be whatever book. I know this traditional 75 hard, it has to be a non-fiction, or is it fiction? It has to be a factual book, but this challenge, I just want people to feel the best versions of themselves, and for some people reading will be their escape. Complete a gratitude journal or journal and script. Completing the gratitude journal every evening, that could be in whatever capacity. My best friend actually brought me a gratitude journal for my birthday, so I'm going to be using that. For some people it might just be in a notebook writing down 3 things they're grateful for in that day, and that's also great. And I'm also going to be trying my hardest to journal or script every single day. Scripting is a form of manifestation, and that is to help me grow spiritually, and journaling is to help me emotionally with my mental health. This will look different for everybody, and I'm very new to it, so I can't give any advice. This is really one of the toughest ones, and I found myself finding it really hard today. I'm only going to be using social media in the evenings. I can have my time on social media after I've had dinner, whatever time that may be. I am an aimless scroller, and I've been finding that because all of my job at the minute is this podcast, every day I'm either on my laptop typing on my notes or filming or mainly editing. So then in my spare time of the day, or just my procrastination time of the day, I've been scrolling on TikTok aimlessly, and I find by the end of the day my brain just feels fried, like I can't look at another screen. I'm hoping it will help me to be both more productive and more present. So I am very addicted to social media. Like, it's not something that I want to admit because it's not a very nice quality. Oh my god, I was sat on the toilet earlier and I had my phone in my hand. I don't even know why I took my phone to the toilet because I don't know what I could go on my phone. I realised when I'd finished going to the toilet that I'd been scrolling on Instagram and hadn't even realised. So I quickly switched off of it, and there's been a few times where I've clicked on the app, realised I'm on the app, and come off of it. No news is my other rule, and that is just because I'm such an overthinker. I find that the news that we consume, that the BBC or ITV or whoever put out, it's constructed to form a narrative that they want to give off. And a lot of the time, the things in the news we've got no control over. I agree it's really important to be informed and educated on world issues and ways in which we can, for example, with global warming, help the planet. When there's natural disasters, like for instance Hawaii at the moment and most of Europe, how we can best support the people living in those countries. But being constantly bombarded with negative, it just damages my mental health, and I don't think it does anything for anybody vibrationally. This is another big one, only one fizzy drink a day. I've been getting so disgustingly bloated. Now I do have Crohn's disease, I also have PCOS, so I'm very accepting the fact that I'm going to be bloated. I have been waking up bloated. At midday, my clothes don't fit right anymore because by the end of the day, I've gone up 3 dress sizes because of my bloating. I've found myself like craving it, like I need it. And I'm just like, I don't want to be that dependent on anything. You'll notice actually a lot of these rules are just me trying to break addictions. The next one is do one thing out of your comfort zone a week. This is going to look different for everyone, but it's quite self-explanatory. Go for at least one walk or run a day. It can be 5 minutes. I literally just went on one for 20 minutes. Just a little walk around my local park. This is more to be outside and get outside. I don't care what exercise you do this whole challenge, but what I do care about is how you interact with nature and how you're using exercise to better your mental health. It doesn't need to be like a 5k run every day. Get outside, get some fresh air, get your body moving. And the next one is meditate for at least 5 minutes a day. Again, it's just trying to be present. I want everybody to feel their bodies. For me, I have a very specific personal goal with this. Skincare every morning and every evening, and then finally to stretch every night. Again, this could look however you want it to look. It could be a few simple stretches, could be for 5 minutes, could be for 30 minutes, could be a whole yoga routine. I want to be more flexible. Like, my joints are stiff. Like, I nearly got to a point where I could do the splits. And this was like a few months back when I lived at uni. I'm not at that point anymore. If we could get there again, that would be good. Today's topic, which you could probably tell from the title, and it's why you're here. You didn't care about my glow challenge. It's all about how to live your best hot girl fall life. I'm going to be doing hot girl fall. I'm partaking. I'm already starting. I'm planting the seeds. We're going to have a hot girl fall, and this doesn't mean that you need to be getting with loads of guys. Guys don't even come into it. Hot girl fall is a time where jumpers and joggers don't make you feel like you're dying. It's a time where cancelling plans to read a book, buy a candle, or binge watch all of the Twilight Saga is completely acceptable. And a time when coffee shops, seasonal drinks do not get better. It's fall season, baby. I'm so excited. Whether you love it or hate it, we can get through it together if you follow along with me with this hot girl fall starter pack. You just need to follow my steps. I'm a fall girl. I know what I'm talking about. It's our job to make fall the hottest season of them all, because let me tell you, summer wasn't that hot. Does this look hot? I don't think so. Do you want to say a little disclaimer? Hot girl fall is non-discriminatory. Whatever sexuality, gender, race, age, you can participate in hot girl fall. The only thing is you've got to be one of the good straight white men. Fall is a time that women, gays and nays may have to be locked in their house by 4 p.m. because it's dark outside. However, we are going to make sure we thrive. When I say fall, I mean from now until January, but we're going to talk about January and February in another time because that is when the seasonal affective disorder really kicks in. Here are my tips to have the hottest girl fall you could dream of. So my first tip is to reflect on your summer. Now, this can be the good, the bad, the ugly. It could be your favourite moments. It could be the things you may. We're not going to say regret because we don't have any regrets, but the things you may have wished didn't happen or had gone differently. It can be your goals for the next season. All of your feelings. I want you to put your feels into this however many pages of reflection, because before we enter a new season, we should close off the previous season. By doing this, you can let go and embrace what summer gave you and move on to the next. And I feel like by doing this, you can learn a lot about summer. You can bring up memories, and have a different appreciation for what someone gave you, and it can also make you excited for the next one. You could realise that you've learned loads in summer and you've got loads to take to fall. The way you're going to get the most out of this activity is by putting all of your feelings into it. Do it at a time when you're alone, there's silence, just you and your thoughts. Put your paper down, your notebook, your journal, whatever you're writing on your laptop. Have a deep breath and then just write. Don't think too much, don't overanalyze, just let your mind do the thinking and just sit there and be a vessel for your thoughts. That's all you need to be. And I promise you, it'll be one of the best things you can do to start fall on the right foot. So my next tip is to have things planned. So I am somebody who does get seasonal affective disorder. Fortunately, I'm normally okay until December 31st. It's when it goes downhill for me. New Year's Eve isn't a good time for me. But up until that point, I'm normally okay. So in case you're not, have things planned. Create a bucket list. Me and my best friend do this for every single season. We create a bucket list on notes. We do it shared. And we write things, like we just type anything that comes into our mind that we want to do. We don't always get it done, but it's just fun to like have that little brainstorming time. Remember, you don't need somebody to make plans with. You can make plans of yourself. So by having this bucket list, I think personally, it just gives you something to look forward to. So therefore, you're less likely to feel sad because you're just living in the moment of what all the exciting things you can experience during fall. Some suggestions: pumpkin picking, pumpkin carving, restart Pretty Little Liars from the beginning for the millionth time if you're me, watch the Twilight Saga from back to front again if you're me for like the millionth time. You can bake. You can have a list of loads of goodies you want to bake. Create a bucket list of books, of TV shows, of movies. It'll be relative to you what this looks like, but it could even be going and having a fancy coffee from Starbucks, i.e. a pumpkin spice latte, the it girl of all fall coffees. Or it could just be having a cozy day with a book at home on your own. It's up to you. But I think by doing this and just having set dates in the diary that you're going to complete these things, it's going to make fall a lot more exciting for you. I'm going to create a book, TV and film bucket list for fall. Because I always find, especially with this summer, I was like, I really want something to watch. And there was just nothing that like sparked my fancy. So I'm going to share with you my bucket list of books. And I think I'm going to do a post on Instagram where I go more in detail on the books that I want to read. Might do like a little book club of the books I have read depending on how good I become at reading. I'm also going to do this with film and TV because I've got loads of suggestions. Like film and TV, the fall and winter are like my favourites. Like all of the things that make me feel cozy, I love. Like I'm so much more into film and TV at this time of year. So that's on my Instagram, Conversation with Erin. I've got a TikTok, Conversation with Erin. And also, while I'm plugging those, I might as well say, while you're here, subscribe. I'm so excited about this space right now. It fills me with so much love. It's like my little special space, and I hope it is for you guys too. And also follow if you're on Spotify. So subscribe if you're on YouTube, follow if you're on Spotify, and give me a rating. That would be amazing. 5 stars please, thank you. And obviously like if you're on YouTube. First thing I'm planning to read is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. It sounds like she's haunted by her family, like past trauma and stuff like that, and like the potential of seeing people when she goes back to hometown after somebody dies. It just sounds like a really good book. This come out loads, so I think I'm gonna get this book for like October time. One that I'm gonna get for the end of the year is Red, White and Royal Blue. I'm sure you all know what that is. It's an LGBTQ romance novel. It's, I think, a take on Wattpad, which I love a Wattpad fanfic book. Like, I can't lie. There's Henry, this English prince, someone in, I think he's the president of the US's son. There's like a relationship between them, but it's like kind of slow burn, and it's like enemies to lovers. It's like a coming out story. Oh, it's just, I watched the film and I loved it. And when I watched the film, I was like, I need to read this book. So yeah, that's on there. Another thing that come up was The Ex-Hex. This kind of looked like a witchy romance book, but not like childish, like just like a fantasy romance. As you can tell, like I love a romance. and dead romantics come up a lot, so I'm intrigued to see what that is about. So this is going to be quick fire recommendations, so get your notebook out at the ready. So my film recommendations for fall. Okay, you ready? This is film. Twilight Saga, 5 Feet Apart, Breakfast Club, The Edge of 17, Casper, So All the Boys I Loved Before, and any of the Conjuring or Insidiouses. They're my favourite horror films. They're so good. They're jumpy, but not too scary. I could write so more on this, so I'm going to do a separate post on my Instagram for this. So for TV, I've got The Society. I think that's still on Netflix. It got cancelled after season 1, but it shouldn't have been cancelled. It's literally my favourite thing I've ever watched. The Scream series, cheesy but love it. Pretty Little Liars, obviously. Normal People, The Haunting of Hill House and The Haunting of Bly Manor. Everything I Know About Love, this is on BBC iPlayer. Red Rose, Slasher, Motherland, The Home Edit, Dream Home Makeover, Ginny and Georgia, and Stranger Things. Again, there's loads more I could add to that, but those are like the top ones that come to my head that I love to watch over the fall. On my to watch, I currently have Sweet Magnolia. I think it's a TV series. I think it's a binge watch type of thing. The Devil Wears Prada, Dead Poet Society, Age of Adeline, American Horror Story. The new season is coming out at the end of this month and I am so excited. I love American Horror Story. I didn't love their last season, but this new season has got Emma Roberts back in it, so I think hopefully I'll like it, but it doesn't have Sarah Paulson or Evan Peters in it anymore, so I don't know if it's going to be as good. Like the first season Murder House will always and forever be like one of my favourites. Sex Education comes out in a couple of weeks, and also 1989, the Taylor Swift album for me was such a autumn of year 7 album, and I'd listen to it on my way to school and I'd be like, I'm in a movie. And she's releasing Taylor's version of 1989. I'm extremely excited to get back into my 1989 Taylor Swift era. And I'm not really a diehard Swiftie, I can appreciate her music, but 1989, it's such a good album. So moving on to something a tiny bit more serious, let's talk about how we can make sure our health is in peak form during hot girl fall. Now, unless you're in somewhere that's hot all year round, we're not that lucky in the UK. At some points in winter, it'll get light at 9 a.m. and it'll get dark again at 4 p.m. So we get a very short window, and then sometimes it rains the whole time, so it's not even that sunny. I'm somebody who needs to be taking my vitamin D, especially in fall. Make sure you're taking your vitamin D. I'm going to invest in a S.A.D lamp. I haven't had one before, but it's always been recommended to me, even by a doctor. It's a seasonal affective disorder lamp, and it is basically I think it kind of gives you the UV rays to an extent. It's meant to be really good for you. It's meant to give you vitamin D. I've heard good things. I've heard that it does make you happier, because that's what happens. We don't get in as much light and stuff, so we get sad, and we're like, oh, it's so horrible. So I'm going to try that and see if it works. I think you can get it on Amazon for 20 quid. And I think if it means that you're not going to slip into a depression because of the weather, I think it's so worth it. I'm going to do a separate podcast on routines, morning and night routines, and how important they are for me and my mental health and staying on track. But I think specifically in autumn and winter, having a routine is crucial. By sticking to a routine, however that may look for you, it stops you from slipping into that hibernating, depressive episode, and just keeps you on track a little bit. It holds you accountable, builds your confidence up, gives you a little bit of a challenge because you have to stick to something even when you really don't want to. I don't want to get up early when it's still dark outside, but I know I need to because I know it's good for me. Also, lots of veggies. We need to be looking after our immune system, eat all the nice stuff, but also eat loads of veggies. In the UK, this time of year for us, it's lots of hearty dishes. You can sneak veggies into everything. One of my favourite things in autumn to eat is butternut squash soup. It's so good. 10 out of 10 recommend. It's so easy to make. I'm not a soup girly. I don't like soup, but butternut squash soup hits different, and it's seasonal, and it's got lots of veggies in it, and it tastes so good, but it's so good for you. Self-care is so important, and by this I don't mean by doing things that's good for you because it makes you feel good. I mean making sure that physically and emotionally you're doing well, i.e. skincare. My skin in winter and autumn is horrendous. It's sore, it's dry, I'm pale, I have no life to me, I have no colour in my skin. It's just not a good time for my skin. So make sure you're doing your skincare, you're moisturising, the really thick moisturiser. Make sure you're slothering your body in that when you get out the shower. Face masks to put lots of hydration into you. Drink lots of water. I know it's harder in winter, but it's almost more as important as it is in summer. Drink your 2 litres. Make sure you're giving yourself as much hydration as you can, because your body needs it, because it's going to shrivel up like a little prune, and nobody wants to look like a prune. And also your hair will dry too. Lots of hair masks, lots of oils. Keep yourself all slippery and wet and moisturised. That's what I say. Also, movement. And by movement, I mean just stretching, doing some yoga. Specifically, if you're someone who struggles with joint pain, make sure you're moving, doing yoga, you're doing stretching, you're doing slow movements to help look after your joints. I find in winter my joints hurt even more. I feel like a rickety old woman in winter, I'm not gonna lie. It's going to be harder than it is in summer, but make sure you're doing your stretching, make sure you're doing your yoga. It will genuinely really help your body to feel more alive on those mornings where you feel a little bit dead. You feel like the skeleton that you're dressing up for Halloween. However, do not pressure yourself to work out. Another hot girl full tip: don't do it to yourself. If it is an essential part of your routine to help your mental health, then please stick to it, because there's a reason. Make sure your intentions behind that reason are correct, if that makes sense. If you're doing it because you're pressuring yourself and you're punishing yourself, don't do it. However, if you're doing it because you know by doing it you're going to feel really good, instead you would be probably crying, then yeah, push yourself to do it. It is okay to curl up with a book instead. Mental health is a priority for hot girl fall. Sometimes curling up with a book is going to be better for your mental health than going for that run in the pouring rain. People will already be planning their bulks and their cuts for next summer. You don't have to engage if you don't want to. You can just live in the moment and enjoy all the good food and the snacks and the big cozy jumpers that you can hide your little winter podge behind. You can show your winter podge as well if you want to, that's okay. But you can embrace this time to be your cozy self and binge watch all the scary films or all the cozy TV that you want, and eat all of the candy and the chocolates, and drink all the pumpkin spice lattes and the toffee nut lattes and the gingerbread lattes and all the other festive and nice cozy food. You don't need to be thinking about how you're going to look next summer when we haven't even passed Christmas yet. If you want to engage in that lifestyle, that's absolutely fine. It's more than okay to do that if that's what makes you happy. But also, if you're doing it because you feel pressure because everyone else is, it's okay just to chill. Okay, don't panic. We're on the edge of cuffing season. I know, I'm sorry. I didn't want to say anything, but unfortunately, when you're speaking about fall and winter, you have to mention cuffing season. I know, it makes me feel sick too. I am going to do a more in-depth pod on how to be okay by yourself, because I think in winter more than any time, it's when that self-assurance of being okay on your own, it slips a little bit. I'm going to be honest, I'm somebody who's been on their own forever and I've come to terms with that. But in winter, it does get a little bit more lonely. Having the whole bed to yourself feels less sweet, doesn't it? We're going to speak about that. I'm going to do another pod all dedicated to living your best single self, even when people on your Instagram are at Winter Wonderland and that's all you can see. People in relationships, you didn't even know they're in relationships. You didn't even know. Mentally prepare now, ladies and gentlemen and theys and thems, for the boys who were in your DMs just last night to be announcing their relationship tomorrow. Just mentally prepare that. Just get your head around the fact that that's going to start happening. But remember, if it hasn't happened this year, or any year in my case, it just wasn't meant to be. The universe has bigger plans than whether you're cuffed for a couple of months just so you have someone to go to Winter Wonderland with. I promise. If you're feeling a little bit down about summer ending and going into fall, get on Pinterest, plan your outfits. This is something that makes me so excited for a change in season. I've already been looking at what's coming into fashion, what I can be seeing from high fashion for next summer. Not next summer. No! For fall and autumn. I've been looking at what I can wear myself, how I can dress up what I've already got, I've been looking on Vinted for other finds. Use Pinterest and other forms of media as your tool to be getting excited. Start planning outfits. Start looking at things you can buy. Treat yourself. why not? Sustainably, of course. I think by getting yourself excited for certain things, it will really help autumn and winter feel a little bit easier, because you can think, oh, I'm not feeling too good today, but I've got a really exciting outfit to wear. Do you know what I saw the other day? I saw a TikTok, and this girl said she had loads of photos of like older people who weren't stereotypically the most fashionable people that you'd imagine to be fashionable, and was like, these outfits are such slays. She's like, if you're only looking at like the stereotypical societal standard of beauty and the people who fit into that, and their fashion is like fashion slays, so you're not fashionable at all. So I've been starting to, like, on my walks and stuff, looking at what other people are wearing, and there is like elderly people know how to dress. Like, I'm walking past these elderly people like, I want your outfit, like that is such a fit. And I've been getting so much autumn fashion inspiration, not at the minute because it's baking hot, but when it was a bit colder, from the elderly people like in my neighbourhood. It's so exciting. So, like, I'd say that's like a 10 out of 10 tip. If you're looking for fashion inspo, look for the people that you'd least expect it to be. I've been getting so much fashion inspo. It's so good. Obviously, the bad thing is you ask them where it's from, and it's like, it's from F&F like 5 years ago, and you're like, great. And also, I would say that fall and winter fashion is like some of my favourites ever. It's the fashion I probably feel the most comfortable dressing myself in, so I'm super excited. I know I've said lots of things to make yourself feel positive. Let yourself feel sad, like that is okay. Some thrive in fall, some have their downfall, let's just say. Some people thrive in summer, and that's other people's downfalls. You don't have to thrive all of the time. I want to make that very clear. But I do want you to be living your best life, however that may look for you. And I don't want your happiness to be dictated on a season when it doesn't necessarily have to be. I will probably be okay until the 31st of December, and that's when I'll stop listening to my own advice and go into my little pit of sadness and depression and existential dread. And then I'll be okay the minute the sun comes back up in spring. Let yourself feel, let yourself experience all the feelings and the emotions. Just be careful you don't slip into that slump of depression. As long as you're managing your mental health and you're allowing yourself to feel those things, but you're not letting them to overrule you and become you, then go ahead, sit and cry. But also make sure that you're looking after yourself in a way that you're picking yourself back up again and you're carrying on. And if you need more help, seek professional help. I know that's easier said than done, but please do. Just make sure you're doing things that allow living to be a little bit more bearable for you if fall and winter aren't your favourite time. Okay, my next tip is get as much daylight as you can. Before I go into this, I want to obviously say that if you're working as a nurse, you're going into work at 6 and you're coming home at 6, this isn't going to be possible for you. And if you're in an office job and you don't see daylight for weeks, it's not going to be possible for you. However, where you can, get daylight. So if that's even popping out in your lunch hour for a minute, just to feel daylight on your skin, and then go back inside. I know sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's just dark and grey, I get that. If there's daylight, try and get some. If you can go for a midday walk, and if that's a push for you and all you can do is a midday breathe in the sun, do it. Because obviously you're going to be taking your vitamin D, you're going to be using your S.A.D lamp, but there's nothing like getting the real thing. And unfortunately, like I said, we're going to get to a point in winter where our only daylight is between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. So that's a very short window for people with very traditional, conventional jobs to get sunlight. And finally, romanticize your life. I find for me, fall is the best time to romanticize your life and feel like you're living in a movie. I genuinely, every autumn, feel like I'm a main character. I don't know why, I can't explain it, but it's so romantic. The atmosphere, the crunchy leaves, the rain when you're in the car thrashing against the window, the really beautiful sunrises and sunsets because you can see them. You don't need to be waking up at 5 a.m. to see the sunrise because it's rising as you're getting up. And oh my god, it's just like the best one. The music, the TV, the film, the true crime, it's so good. The outfits, and the coziness, like I think that's it for me. I think it's the coziness that makes me feel like a main character. Like I've got my hot cocoa, and I don't even drink hot cocoa, but well, I guess I drink hot chocolate. I've got my hot cocoa and I'm in my jumper and I'm under my blanket and it's raining outside and I've got my book and my film, and it's so romantic. It might just be me, but romanticize your life as much as you can. Allow yourself to feel like you're in the movie. You live once. Like, why not? Why not be in a movie? Like, who's to say that you're not in the Truman Show? Like, and that doesn't need to be a negative thing. You're just the main character of your own movie. Embrace it. Be in a Wattpad fanfic. I don't care. I'm definitely going to be this one. If you see me walking around and I'm just like smiling to myself, listening to the birds crunching through the leaves, mind your business, okay? Mind your business, because I'm going to be in my own little world and who knows what happens in there. But it's a wild time. So those are my top tips of how to have the hottest fall you will ever have. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be incredible. Whether you like it or not, we're going to have the hottest time. I'm literally having the hottest time right now. I'm dripping with sweat. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. And remember to check out all my social media. I'll be uploading recommendations for books, films, TV for autumn and fall and winter, and I'm also potentially going to be sharing my opinions on new stuff that I consume. Also remember to check out my TikTok, and both the Conversation with Erin TikTok, but more importantly the Erin Baker _ TikTok, my personal TikTok, to keep up with my 75 Glow Hard challenge. But yeah, so thank you so much for listening. We're now going to go into our 3 gratitudes and 1 hope for the future. So my first gratitude is, I begrudgingly say it, the weather. Now, I know this is going to be the last chance of sun for probably a year. Maybe just a little bit less than a year. As much as it's annoying me how hot it is, I'm trying to embrace it and feel grateful for the fact that I've got a chance to get my freckles to their most prominentness before they die in winter. I'm grateful to have the house to myself. This hasn't happened for weeks because so Albie goes to daycare because he can't be left alone because he has separation anxiety, but his daycare have been on holiday for 3 weeks, so it's been me and Albie in the house constantly for 3 weeks. So it's been very nice to actually have silence. Albie's like a toddler, if not worse, so I love him, but he's hard work. So it's been very nice to have a bit of quiet. Sound like a 40-year-old woman. Someone get me a glass of wine. Oh, I'm grateful for how good that iced coffee was. It was unreal, but it's made me need a poo. That's why I'm struggling to think, because I'm desperate for a poo. And my hope for the future is I get through until after dinner before I go on TikTok, because I'm missing it a lot. I will see you next week for another episode. I hope you enjoyed. Lots of love.